Hey guys, today I am reacting to what went wrong with California's HighSpeed Railway. Now, just from a general perspective, I guess, seems like they just haven't finished it yet. And it seems like there's a bit of corruption and bad management and such. But hopefully they are going to finish it. Somewhat. Hopefully soon. Yeah, so let's get into this. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
If you live in San Francisco and you want to get to LA, you kind of only have two options. A 6-hour drive or a journey out of the city to the airport, followed by the journey through the airport to a plane, followed by a 90-minute flight, then a journey through LA airport, and then a drive to wherever you're headed. It's not exactly...
I think you can take a train, it's just a bit of a long journey. I am pretty sure you can take a train, I think. There is some public transportation options, buses as well. Just longer than a high-speed railway.
Easy. That's where the incredibly sensible plan for a high-speed rail line comes in.
Yeah, I think there's the Metro Star. But yeah.
It would better connect cities, boost the economy, cut emissions, and help bring the world's only superpower into the high-speed club that's currently dominated by China.
I mean, we do have the Acela Express in the Northeast, but some people don't consider it a true high-speed railway. So I mean, having more would be great, and improving what we already have would also be good as well. And I heard Texas is building some as well.
But more than 20 years after it was first put forward, work on the line's been nowhere near as fast and efficient as the trains it one day hopes to run. Plagued by difficulties and battling America's cultural preference for flying and driving, the massive building project hasn't delivered much at all, and some now think it may never be fully completed.
Damn. I doubt it, and we already put so much money into it. It should be, and it has to be completed. I mean, and if it is nice enough and good enough, it should attract plenty of people.
This is a look inside California's long, tumultuous, and somewhat unbelievable struggle to build America's first high-speed rail line. America doesn't really build high-speed railways. Its current fastest line between Washington DC and Boston runs trains at 150 miles an hour, but many would argue that's not high speed.
Well, I mean, it also goes to, it's that whole region, so it stops at, New York City, Philadelphia, as well.
Instead, the country is plane and car travel centric, home to some of the world's busiest and most congested roads and airports. That's what makes California's plan for a 220 mph high-speed rail line stand out and feel almost revolutionary.
And let's see how much that is in killing. Okay. So yeah, that is about 354 kilometers. That sounds more impressive in kilometers even. Yeah.
The plan is to link the regions of Southern California, San Joaquin Valley, and San Francisco Bay, providing a faster and cleaner way to travel between them, boosting the local economy, and limiting the disruption to agricultural and protected lands along the route. Getting between these areas has always been a headache, and it's always meant either a flight or a long car journey. It's a problem that originally sparked Elon Musk's idea for Hyperloop, though that system's journey to becoming reality is a whole other video, and the first system is now likely to become operational in the 2030s, outside of the US. The project's being led by the state-run California High-Speed Rail Authority, and though that was set up in 1996, it wasn't until 2008 that the plan for the high-speed network, Proposition 1A, was
Damn, that took a long while.
Approved by voters. Then almost $10 billion in bonds were issued for the planning and construction of the network, which is set to extend over 800 miles. Phase 1 involves building that line from San Francisco to LA via the Central Valley, which then carries on to Anaheim. Phase 2 will go from LA to San Diego, with another offshoot running from Merced to Sacramento. Construction's currently underway on the Midway section, a 119-mile corridor linking Madera to Bakersfield, with 35 different sites currently active. One recent piece of news is the completion of the San Joaquin River Viaduct superstructure. It's a bridge on the border of Fresno and Medina County that'll act as a new gateway into the Central Valley. But while there's been some progress, it doesn't exactly make up for the countless setbacks that continue to force delays and push up costs. Originally priced at $33 billion in 2008, with services due to start in 2020.
2020? You mean it could have started now? Or last year?
The final figure's now estimated at over $100 billion, and it won't be ready until at least
almost 10 years beyond its expected start date. What the hell?
2029. And that's just the first section in the middle. Like so many things in life, it all comes down to money. That $10 billion bond was never meant to cover the whole project. The rest was due to come from private investors and the federal government. But those dollars have been hard to come.
Yeah, the federal government needs to give more money, but also we need to make sure to root out corruption and such.
By, and many potential backers have been unconvinced that Americans would choose to stop flying between the two cities and take the train instead. Keeping hold of the cash has also been a battle. In 2019, the Trump administration withdrew almost $1 billion in federal funding due to the lack of progress being made.
It's just gonna make it even slower.
Now, with a new government in place, and with Joe Biden being famously train-friendly, the California HighSpeed Rail Authority is pushing to get this hefty chunk of funding back into its bank account.
But really, make sure you root out any corruption. Like, they really need to do investigations to see there's not any corruption. But just because there are investigations that I think should go on, doesn't mean they should put the project on hold either. So continue the project, but also be investigated for things. That'll also keep them on their toes and make sure they don't, embezzle funds and such. My opinion, though.
Land acquisition's also been a total nightmare.
Oh, yeah,
there are still hundreds of parcels of land needed to secure.
If the government really wanted it done, the California government, or I mean, especially the federal government, if the federal government wanted it done, it would be done lickety split. So I mean, I wish even now with Joe Biden, he's not necessarily so gung ho on public transportation that he's just gonna make it happen like that, Because I mean, like with the Highway Act, Eisenhower got it done super fast. He was super gung ho about it. But I mean, Joe Biden likes trains and public transportation, but I don't think he'd be as excited about it as Eisenhower was, at least for the Highway Act. Maybe, but yeah, I think with more government support, then it would get done super fast. But I doubt that's gonna happen.
Secure a 65-mile section in Kings County near Fresco. That's after construction has begun on the route, which isn't exactly ideal. Even once the Central Valley line is finished, that'll represent just a fraction of the full system. The crucial connections to LA and San Francisco are not even close to starting. Those segments are currently stuck in the dreaded environmental review stage, and there's no real indication of how long that process will take or whether it will even lead to full approval. And then, if the green light is eventually given, there's the small issue of raising all that extra cash to make it happen. It's led some to label the project a train to nowhere, a system that ends up only serving the Central Valley where work is actually being done. Even California Governor Gavin Newsom criticised plans for the overall project in 2019, saying it would cost too much and take too long, blaming a lack of oversight and transparency.
No, it needs to get done.
He said, "Right now, there isn't a path to get from Sacramento to San Diego, let alone from San Francisco to LA. I wish there were." The decision to appoint certain contractors has been called into question as well. According to the Los Angeles Times, one firm that promised $300 million in savings by altering designs for the Kings County section ended up costing the project $800 million in overruns. And
maybe should have got the Japanese to do it.
and those proposed changes have now been largely scrapped. Despite all this,
Maybe even the Chinese.
and with progress being closer to the pace of a snail than a bullet train, it's hard to ignore the benefits this project would bring if it's eventually finished. It's not just about speed and efficiency. Getting people out of their cars will be crucial to the US achieving the climate change targets set out by the Biden administration. With the passing of a $2 trillion infrastructure plan that has around $20 billion earmarked for intercity rail, there's now cautious optimism about the future of high.
It's good, but it could be a lot better. I mean, I think that infrastructure bill should have a lot more money in it. I mean, 15 years, I think. Yeah, it's not enough for 15 years. I think it should be a bit if we really want to get things done.
High-speed projects across the US. Although California's was the first to get going, it's not the only high-speed route that's planned, and it might not even be the first to finish. A high-speed line between Dallas and Houston could be up and running by 2026.
Which would be pretty cool.
There's also Brightline
But also 2026 is a while away.
West, a fast connection between Victorville and Las Vegas, which is due to break ground in 2021 and would eventually join up with the Californian network. And private investors are also eyeing up potential projects in Florida and Maryland. Whichever comes first, and even if there are no further delays, America's first high-speed rail line is still years away, a stark contrast to what's happening in competing nations like China, albeit in a very different culture and political system.
So, I mean, if the government really wanted it done, it would be done. My opinion, at least.
2/3 of the world's combined high-speed rail network can now be found here, and the Europeans aren't too bad at building it either, outside of the UK. While the US may have little hope of catching the others in this particular race, the completion of California's high-speed line, in whatever form it takes, would at least set the wheels in motion.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this video and
Honestly, it seems like in the US, the government we're just too scared to spend money when we actually need to spend money on one. But hopefully, maybe attitudes change. Maybe the government will actually do something and get invested and want to actually spend money on important projects like this. Maybe not, but yeah. And it's not just spending money; it's also just getting support behind it.
you want to get more from the definitive video channel for
Oh yeah, but this was pretty enjoyable to watch. Just going in depth about it, you know. Let's check out some of the comments. And it should get cheaper as we build more and more. You know, it might get a bit more expensive, but I mean, eventually the cost should level out if we build more and more high-speed rail. 3 times over budget. What? How did they calculate the original budget? Good question. They've been talking about this since I was like 7 years old, and I'm now in my 30s. Damn. The real question is, what went wrong with California? They seem to have lost their minds. Californians. Wait, where's the rail we paid for? Now, richer politicians, never was going to be one. Hey. When a section of the 880 freeway in Oakland collapsed in 2007, they replaced it at $250 million per mile. You read that right. California is run by completely incompetent and corrupt people. Seems to be that way. Ah yes, the California high-speed rail line, the Brandenburg Airport of America. Didn't they just get that complete though? Except the Brandenburg Airport is now open. Hopefully it actually gets done though. California has a bigger economy than France, so this is just a sad indictment. Yeah, it really is freaking sad. I mean, California is like the 7th largest economy, so I mean, goddamn California. I think that most of the money for the train was simply stolen or spent on pork barrel spending, which had little to do with the train. We have reached peak incompetence. What is pork barrel spending though? is a metaphor for the appropriation of government spending for localized projects secured solely or primarily to bring money to a representative district. Okay. So, I guess a bit of corruption there. Sort of. Man. It took 4 years to build the Golden Gate Bridge. It was completed under budget and ahead of schedule. Why can't we do that? It's a mile long. We're talking several hundred miles of infrastructure. No comparable. Somewhat, yeah, but still. Bridges are bloody hard to build. Water is extremely destructive. China builds tens of thousands of kilometers of high-speed rail every decade. What's your excuse? The construction site footage looks like there's 5 guys building the whole thing. And for the film crew, they just use different machines to make it look more busy than it is. A high-speed railway connecting California's 2 largest cities should already have been a priority 5 decades ago. Agreed. Yeah, but judging that they haven't, it looks like it's not a priority for them, and they have the audacity to tell us that they care about the environment. That's why I love Eastern Asian countries. Japan opened its first high-speed railway in the 1960s, 2 decades after it was obliterated in World War II, and their cities reduced to nothing. It seems goofy that the first high-speed rail attempt would be at this scale. What happened to the proof of concept? I mean, I know it's proven in other countries, but obviously Americans aren't convinced. What about Cheyenne, Wyoming to Denver? Oh, I stated in the video. I don't know about that one, but definitely, I mean, in the future, if we could get something like that done, that'd be awesome. It's not even that much about the density, it's just how many people are going to use it. And projects like this don't even have to turn a profit. It's for like the net benefit they provide to the society and, the neighborhood and community. Not just if they turn a profit, because I mean, they don't have to turn a profit. It's about, what they're doing for the area and how they're improving things on a wider scale. By the time the USA gets this high speed in 2030 plus, even Africa will have 100 times longer high speed rail. Yeah, okay. I enjoyed this video, even if it did make me a bit irritated that we can't get things. Hopefully we get it done though. And if you enjoyed my reaction, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.